The Concord is a fast-moving machine of governance and imperium. It is a beast of coins, maps, compromises and magic. The vast apparatus of each realm combined with the overarching talons of the Concord make for dangerous and complex matters of state. This Winds, while simple and brief, contains the important information of the Treasury and the Quartermasters report, detailing the funds available to the Concord and what constructions have been completed. The Pale Art of Sorcerers, the Treasury report. The Concordian Treasury reports the following. The Concordian Treasury at the beginning of the Winter Summit is expected to be valued at 15 vaults, 17 locks and 2 keys. This is after the calculation of costs, income and assured expenses such as payments to the Shard Circle and Academy. Current expenditure to support Concordian efforts is valued at 67 vaults, 15 locks. Current income from Concordian taxation is valued at 62 vaults, 15 locks. The position of Treasurer to the Senate is vacant following the death of Captain Leonardo Bonabel last summit. It will be available for election this summit. Look upon my works, the Quartermasters report. The Civil Service declares a wide variety of constructions completed over the summer season, as Concordian architects, labourers and supply officers move the spheres to get goods where they need to be. The following projects have been completed. The line of fortresses between Wayland and Royal Bordevar have been completed. They are named as follows, listed from north to south. The Oaken Keep holds the north of Wayland from the enemies of Royal Bordevar, but faces its fair share of trouble given it sits next to the cursed lands of Vassatile. Luckily, the disease carried in that forest is nothing new to us by now, and some amount of protection has been included in every facet of the keep. The Oaken Keep sits a fair bit away from the trees and has good vantage facing both directions. Not enough that it could feasibly stop an assault from both sides, but at least enough that there would be some notice for its defenders. Manned by a group that have collectively called themselves Watchers of Oak, there is a surprising mix of layfolk, knights and nobles among them. An emphasis seems to be highly placed on those who are proficient in scouting, and the halls of the keep reflect this. Supplies are organised in a way that benefits smaller groups coming and going, and that there are plenty of map boards and openly displayed report boards. To be honest, the Oaken Keep seems like a King's Ranger's paradise. Peregrine's Roost shares many ties with the Oaken Keep, given that it is the first to hear of any news from the north. Perhaps it's due to this, or perhaps a simple coincidence, but the roost holds a much larger supplies of carrier birds. These birds, as told to me by a very excited young aviarist, can carry far more than simple written messages. Some of the larger birds are even trained to carry large amounts of medicine or supplies, while one particularly bestial looking thing is capable of carrying weapons and armour. If we had more of that one bird, I imagine outfitting stranded soldiers would become an easily achieved feat, but that is not for me to say or organise. The roost has little else of note to mention in terms of the structure itself. However, a clever use of dirt roads makes the ground around it far harder to manoeuvre than it first appears. I have no doubt that one day Kaelin's barracks will become renowned as some of the hardest defenders of the border keeps. The building itself is wider than it is tall, and it faces directly into Royal Bordevar, almost like those walls in the valley. The ground in front of it has been dug into trenches for a good mile or two, and a nasty mix of wood and iron spikes have been embedded along it just for good measure. I don't care if your army is more dead than alive, but nothing is getting through that, especially when the defenders are raining arrows down on you. I noticed a chunk more knights in Balin's barrack compared to the other keeps, both noble and not. Each one had a stern look about them, and I could tell that all the arms and armour were rigorously kept in shape. The barracks had even had a training field out on the Wayland side, and judging based on the state of the ground, it gets used often. The defenders of Kaelin's seem hospitable enough, but there is an energy about the place that feels like it speaks to their serious approach of the defence of our realm. The Keep of the Horned Count, apparently once called Clovis' Keep, but renamed due to some honouring of a noble, matches its history rather well. Just as Kaelin's barracks saw more knights, the Keep of the Horned Count is host to a massive amount of noble families and houses. The amount of attendants running around the keep to keep the place in order is frankly impressive, and the place runs like clockwork. there are regularly scheduled meetings, well-followed sentry routines, and an all-round efficient manner about everyone. No one is overstepping another, to me painstakingly so, but all are taking their duty seriously. This keep will be a hotspot for virtues, I'm sure. An eye of aesthetics is taken to this border fort, which is the biggest visual difference. The name has been truly taken into account, and various effigies and artworks based on horned beasts and men are everywhere. Even along the outside of the keep there are great big banners hanging along walls, each with a noble sigil and colours. I must say, it is prettier to look at than the others. Last but not least lies Grey Keep in the south. I am unsure if it is done as a play of words or simply due to its easily accessible stone in the steinbolts, but this fort is certainly grey in colour. Noticeably so compared to the others anyways. I have to admit it did give me a chuckle, so credit to the builders for that one. Aside from that, even a quick glance proves that Grey Keep is extremely tall. Not quite a tower due to its width, and not quite a castle due to its comparative size, but certainly tall enough that one can look down into the Wolfden and maybe to the base of the Steinbolts nearby. The defenders of Grey Keep, perhaps in a rivalry with the Watchers of the Oak, have dubbed themselves Keepers of the Cold. In a strange way, the defenders here almost mirror those of the Oak Keep in numbers and ratio of layfolk to knights and nobles. That's about where the similarities end though, as scouting is certainly not the focus of the Keepers. They tend towards roaming war parties and patrols, happy to be big and loud and kill the enemies of Bordevar in an active way, while keeping close to their keep of course. I wouldn't attribute the term vicious to the people of the Grey Keep, but I certainly wouldn't want to see them as an enemy in territory they know well. The forces of both the People's Gift and the Valley Zone have seen massive expansion. Both the fleet and the army are capable of supporting an additional 2,500 troops, and have seen that many added to their overall number. Following their recent conflicts, both armies are in good position to continue campaigning on behalf of the Concord. The trade port of Nazafeza has been completed. A wide arc of breakwater protects a sandy-bottom port capable of docking up to 20 vessels at a time, with stones keeping a firm defence of both wave and war. There are attached warehouses, jetties for fishing, and children to dive from, and even simple sailors' tavern. While the port remains quite empty to begin with, it is a spark of hope. It has become the heart of a small, wounded township, with night markets and lively opening festival. Nestled away from the world, hidden among the eaves of the Wolfden Woods, on the fine grounds of the Red Oak Lodge, is a newly completed hall. The ducal seat of Heartsgrave is an ornate manor with grounds that include servants' quarters, both a hall for entertaining and a private residence for the Duke, and now a college of arms. Dubbed the Heartsgrave Battle Academy, this project by the Duke of Heartsgrave, Duke Ilan Portless, has finally been completed after nearly 2 years of attention. While not the largest construction, the Academy is roughly a third of the size of the Concord's only other school of conflict, being the Eisen College of War. It does contain useful manuscripts on both personal conflict and the organisation of troops. Manned by a small cohort of skilled lecturers paid for by the Ducal House, the Heartsgrave Battle Academy has opened its doors to a competitive first group of students, taking on captains for a short period of tutorship using their gathered knowledge. Game information. The fortress between Wayland and Royal Bordevar has been completed. It has 4,000 strength against forces invading from Royal Bordevar and 2,000 strength against forces from or in Wayland. There will be decisions regarding these fortresses for the Senator of Wayland, the Duke of Starsgar, and the Champion of the King. Both the People's Gift and the Valley Zone have seen their maximum strength raised by 2,500, and they have also received that many forces. The trade port in Nazafeza has been completed. It provides tax income to the region of Mukarem and also provides a +1 tier to any naval investment based in Mukarem that takes the trade with foreign ports action. This bonus tier replaces the previous bonus, where trade ports remove the -50% out of realm penalty for investments in the region that were not Andashi. This change has also been applied to the trade port in Lorona Mare. There will be decisions regarding the Nazafeza trade port for the Senator of Mukarem. The Heartsgrave Academy of Battle has been completed. This school of arms is based in the Red Oak Lodge in Heartsgrave and is a boon to the powers of the Duke, allowing them to improve their martial capabilities of the duchy through careful tutelage. Every season, for a cost of 3 locks, the Duke of Heartsgrave can nominate a single Tier 1 Bordavari military investment that is already based in Heartsgrave. This investment counts as having taken the independent action downtime and gains a tier, becoming Tier 2. And that concludes my reading of Gold for Kings, Silver for Nobles, Copper for Layfolk, Debt for Slaves. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.